Narc is talking about something that Stife Hayes is completely wrong about Ashes of Creation, but it is not his fault. Until games grow and Ashes will continue being seen of what it is. Same goes for Pantheon. Oh my god, here we go with Pantheon. Just give me a good virtual world where players have real control to shape it. I believe that's the main goal at the end of the day. Not gonna happen. Not with today's technology, at least. Honestly, a lot of people who are not too into PvP actually don't mind the open world PvP aspect of Ashes simply because of the player-driven economy and world concept that Ashes seems to be pushing. May not get into the numbers of WoW was at its peak, but I don't think it's going to be small by any means. Well, again, this game also doesn't appeal to the casual player, but yeah. Let's see.
No, not Josh. Not Josh as well. How is this? Where's my phone? I need to sort this out.
Tell me where you keep it. Where is your funding stored? I am the legendary level 3 Pantheon Deer, and this corporate entity is
Pantheon Deer
under my siege. Tell me where it is.
Huh? Money? I've never heard of it. We're paid here at Blizzard headquarters exclusively in breast milk.
Oh god, he went there. He went there.
Before my excuse me for a moment.
What the hell, man?
Oh god, this underwear thing, bro.
With yours now.
Oh, this
I feel like, I don't know what, I am pretty sure that is not yours.
Well, that's not my problem, Baldy. For everyone who thinks our shitty game is the same as yours, that's funding you're not getting.
It's not funny. I see this constantly, and it's really starting to get to me now.
Silence, whelp. I have breast milk to harvest.
Hey, what up, boys? So, today is the day I finally tell everyone.
Why?
Overly critical
Why?
about Pantheon.
Why are you doing this underwear bullshit, bros? Just stop with the underwear, man.
Rise of the Fallen. Not only is the game a complete joke in terms of concept and execution, making it easy meme material for me, but the frustration goes deeper than this.
Oh, yeah.
Every day I wake up full of life and hope. My optimism for the future of MMORPGs is renewed every morning when
No,
I'm
it's not.
reminded of Ashes of Creation's progress over the last 10 months. UE5, the combat direction, the innovation when it comes to character creator and weather effects, the MMORPG player base should be rejoicing. We're finally getting a game that seems to be doing everything right. Apart from
No matter how much right they're gonna do, until the game is released, it's not really worth hyping or hoping for. Be neutral, take everything with a grain of salt, and you can hope for the best, but honestly, having no hope and having no expectation will usually yield a better reaction.
From the cosmetics, the FOMO, the battle royale, and the stalling, of course.
Yeah.
You see, my friends, this is not the case for the general public. Oh, no. And allow me to explain why in today's video. But before we get into that, our patrons and I would love for you to grab yourself a Coca-Cola, because my optimism is crushed every single day when I look through my usual social media to find relevant news to report on, and people everywhere, Twitter, YouTube, Reddit and Discord, continue to confuse Pantheon, Rise of the Fallen, with Ashes of Creation. Even the gorgeous hunk that is Stife Hayes has fallen.
What do you mean confuse that to? How do you even confuse them?
To such a
They don't even look the same.
If I'm honest, I just can't take it anymore. I need to vent. I need to clear the air and sort this mess out, because
I'm at my limit with this bullshit.
So today, it's time for you to turn around, drop your pants and bend over, because
Oh, no.
I'm about to hate fuck your brains out whilst releasing my frustration about this constant mix-up. Now, with all that bollocks out of the way, let's begin, shall we? So it is actually pretty reasonable and an easy mistake to mix these two Kickstarter projects up. However, even at the Kickstarter stage, the major differences between Pantheon and Ashes of Creation are already misrepresented. Pantheon Rise of the Fallen
Looks like
failed to kickstart, barely even getting half the required funds to set it off. But this didn't stop them, no. Despite the lack of interest, they chose to privately fund the game instead, using $10,000 pledge packages that still exist today, paid access to their forums, and an NDA so thick it would put even your head to shame.
Oh, God.
And to top it all off, there's a caveat in their pledge page saying, if this game falls through, you will not be getting your money back. Now, if we mirror this with Ashes of Creation, they actually smashed their Kickstarter goal 10 times over within the first day, setting records for the most...
I think the transparency of Ashes of Creation is really what... The amount of detail they went into... Like, forget even, like, because this is before, like, I believe they smashed their goal way before they showed any real footage of the game or anything like that. Like, they showed, like, probably, like, a bit of game footage, but it was, like, completely, like, there was nothing yet. But the amount of detail they went into about what the game is, who it's for, how, like, it's not for everyone, and it's, like, how Steven is making a game that he wants to play and stuff like that. Because most of the developers don't say stuff like that. They're just developing a game for this, that, like a pandering. And he says, I want to develop a game that this is my vision of MMORPG, a game that I would play, right? So I think like that actually hit players home and stuff like that. I don't want Ashes of Creation to be super hardcore focus. Obviously hardcore stuff. I do want to be super I don't want to be super non-casual, but at the same time I want to be pretty non-casual to the point where it's like all of these changes that he's saying, that's like, this is not for like somebody who's just like, you know, come in, play a bit and drop it. I don't want a game like that. I can't connect to a game like that. I can't care about a game like that. However, that being said, if it's vertical progression, it's going to be very, very hard for me to really get into the game if I can't put in a lot of time. If it's horizontal progression, then I don't really care about it being non-casual and stuff like that, because technically the world will still be the world when I come back, obviously with different towns and stuff, and the geography can change, which is going to be interesting. But as far as like being far away from the pack, I won't like that, because what happens is if you're too far away from the pack, the game will either give you catch-up mechanics, which kind of like, you know, they downplay the effort everyone else put into the game, or if it doesn't, you're gonna feel like you're way too far away from the pack to ever catch up.
Funded MMORPG to date. Their caveat to funding actually says the opposite. If this project fails, you will get your money back. But the Kickstarter was merely a gauge in interest, allowing Steven and the team to confidently go all out and promise the full roster of original plans. The Kickstarter wasn't a funding process because Steven has said
it was a gauge of interest.
The bottom line is I am committed to this project's success and completion. And that means that when it comes to funding for the additional years that perhaps were not planned for, that's coming out of mine and John's pocket. And we're okay with that, because what we see in front of us is not only a team of extremely talented individuals, but also a community that is extremely passionate about the project and wanting to see it come to fruition.
The game is already funded to completion out of his own pocket, regardless of any sales made through the monthly packs. You see, the packs still exist with their current access, and the price still stands as it did back in 2018, because by reducing the price, you're spitting in the face of those original backers. And I respect Intrepid for doing that. Even though it is hurting their reputation in the current year, it is the correct choice to make. If you think the alpha keys should be lower in price to suit the current interest, then you, my friend, clearly are so used to Blizzard taking a giant shit on your...
No, I think it's not even just that. It's just, you just don't understand the purpose of the alpha. The alpha is not for like the players, like for everyone to just get into. The alpha is there to gauge interest, right? and give the people who like really support this and are willing to like put on all of that also have the possibility to do that. And honestly, if they can afford to give that much money, they also probably have the time to play the game in the alpha and give it a fair shot.
Head, you think it's acceptable to be treated like a toilet. Well, not me. I dropped out of the Blizzard shill train many years ago because I value being treated with respect. Steam is down 30 million as of the release of Alpha 1 and has most
Jesus
likely
Christ.
not made his money back yet. So if this is a scam, then, well, you're doing a pretty shit job stealing our money, Steven. Maybe you should take a leaf out of Pantheon's book and stop actually making progress. The only similarities between Ashes of Creation and Pantheon Rise of the Fallen is that they both still remain in an alpha development stage today. Ashes of Creation just passed its 5-year mark, and Pantheon Rise of the Fallen is creeping up on its 9th year mark. A pretty
What? Pantheon is on 9th year mark and it looks like that? Jesus Christ, bro. Is the longest running scam or some shit?
Considering Pantheon hasn't had a single publicly viewable alpha phase yet, nor is one in sight anytime soon. Ashes of Creation shows considerable progress every single month, even before the Unreal 5 announcement, and had an extremely successful, publicly viewable Alpha 1 test.
Yeah, I think everyone who played was having fun.
We thought were quite literally impossible in this modern age of MMO.
Yeah, everyone thought this would be laggy as fuck. Everyone thought like that massive PvP would be laggy as fuck, and like it proved it wrong.
How easily and how common it is for people to mix up Ashes of Creation and Pantheon. These are not the same game, but to the public eye, as demonstrated by Josh, they are. All of the dodgy practices, the scam level progress, and the egregious monetization attempts over the years, such as reducing the price of the keys and them trying to sell NFTs, has bled into Ashes of Creation's reputation. I see this every single day.
Why? How does that even happen? Oh, fuck.
It infuriates me. You think I shit on Pantheon and Visionary Realms because of their lack of talent and motivation to actually make a game? No. I do it because Ashes of Creation's reputation suffers because of their lack of talent and progress.
How? That's so random. How does like one game's reputation suffer because another game cannot get their shit together?
Much as I want it
or
to,
scam.
Slander another so-called passion project.
Yeah.
To clear up the misconceptions that one of our leading content creators within the MMORPG space seems to have with this highly anticipated MMO. So let's pull out the copium.
I mean, I still don't like that any game is highly anticipated because that creates too many expectations that usually the devs might not even be able to provide.
Ourselves that Ashes of Creation isn't going to follow in Pantheon's footsteps.
An outsider's perspective.
Josh has shown his disdain in the past for Ashes of Creation, and I completely stand by his original critiques.
What was the original critique?
From an outside perspective is exactly how I go about creating videos and likely contributes to the amount of success my format has had. Albeit that comes at the cost of me being labelled as a dumb fuck within the neckbeards of this community.
A Narc, sadly, takes great joy in mocking them over it. What a toxic asshole.
I deliberately choose to word things in ways that normies would understand the concept, not in the ways that stroke the obsessive copium fiends festering in the pits of Reddit and Discord. Reality check, guys, the game doesn't even exist, so stop consuming social media about it daily. And that
basically
is all of you morons in my Discord as well. From an outside
basically, yeah.
The game's progress and concepts do seem extremely daunting. Open world PvP, a player-driven world, ocean, dungeons, world bosses, artisan skills, but the truth is, it's only really the node system focusing on that player-driven aspect that makes this MMO different. Even then, I
still think the node is gonna... I don't even know how you're gonna do the nodes work, man. I feel like that system is way too complex for them to even program, let alone for people to use it.
As most consumers are way overshooting the impact this player-driven aspect will actually be. We are, unironically, overhyping this particular part of the game because of the lack of information about it. And admittedly, it will probably end up disappointing a lot of us. But aside from this node system, the open world PvP concept has been used across multiple games. The planned crafting and gathering systems were highly successful in Star Wars Galaxies and EVE. The oceans and caravan systems, leaning on a risk versus reward motivation, are utilized successfully across a few, and in fact, Ashes of Creation is quite literally just a nice blend of Lineage 2, aka Black Desert Online, and Arcage. They are quite literally just copying the best systems out of these four aforementioned games and blending them all into one. It is not impossible or daunting at all, and the progress they've made this year has been a pretty clear indicator the game is quickly becoming a reality. On that note, let's discuss the clip in question. There's three major points to Josh's clip that I want to address: the scope creep, the so-called taming discussion, and the common sense logic of how an MMORPG should be made. Each of these points he made does not apply to Ashes of Creation in any capacity whatsoever. This is what compelled me to make the connection to Pantheon Rise of the Fallen. First of all, he mentions scope creep and feature creep. At no point during the development process of this highly anticipated MMO have they ever increased the scope or features planned. What they decided during Kickstarter was set in stone the moment that ended, and not once have they attempted to expand this. There was a debate last month about the map size increase being classed as scope or feature creep, but I think after analyzing and much consumption of copium, we came to the consensus that it is not scope or feature creep to convert the original concept of the game into a practical.
Yeah, didn't they just increase the zones so that it won't feel as clustered or something like that? They even reduced the amount of nodes in the world because otherwise it would feel too clustered?
Usable world that supports the systems.
Yeah.
In fact, they even reduced the original scope by removing 15 of their original 103 planned nodes. So technically it's unscope creep. Anyway, the reason Josh mentioned scope and feature creep in the first place was to push the point of the recent taming discussion.
Taming?
What? Well, this is where it dawned on me. You see, to swindle the super copium enjoyers within the Pantheon player base, they like to do what is called parting of the veil, or what I like to call parting of the arse cheeks as they fuck their backers with no remorse, because this is just 1 hour of them answering questions and promising more and more things that are never actually going to exist. Surely not Chronicles of Valeria vibes, am I right, guys? Pantheon has shown way more progress than that game after 8 years, for sure. This baseless promise of cool conceptual features is the definition of scope creep, and the subject matter of this month was, of course, taming. The very thing Josh brought up. Pantheon had no footage to back up these wild claims, of course, just the same reused Unity assets that they
Jesus Christ.
to present the progress of their game here in 2022. Steven hasn't spoken about taming or anything like that since ever, because Intrepid do not talk about things until they are ready to show. So the only explanation for this comment is that Josh quite literally thinks Pantheon and all its failings are also Ashes of Creations. Finally, Josh also spoke about how a game should be designed. Develop the basic functionalities, release a playable product, and then add stuff on top of it. You know, common sense. The funny thing is, the exact quote...
Yo, 1 second? Very similar to the keyboard I used to have.
I think I've heard it word for word coming out of Steven's mouth as well. Steven knows what it takes to make an MMORPG, and he's been doing
Seems like
correctly. That's why Ashes of Creation has so much faith behind it. It is not just baseless cope. This is the only upcoming MMORPG that genuinely looks like it will succeed for once. On that note, Steven actually reached out to Josh in this clip and offered...
Everyone chat, I'm available. Also, if you ever want to throw down in some 40k, my Necrons are willing.
Comments. Josh, if you're watching this or any of his viewers able to click take up this offer and interview Steven because I think you are misunderstanding a lot of what Ashes of Creation is all about. You preach you want the genre to be better, and Steven is trying to bring that back to us, back to a time before MMOs weren't complete corporate dog shit. You will not.
I really hope so, man. Honestly, like, I'm not gonna lie. I like, not in the sense of like hopium. Like, I won't be disappointed if he doesn't. But okay, so hope is a very different. Is not what I would say. I want him to make a game that is not a corporate bullshit. I want him to create a good game. I don't want to say that I hope for it. I just want him to make this game because I cannot.
Only be doing a huge service to the MMORPG player base, but
Yeah.
I think it would also make you consider sucking in that sweet, sweet Ashes of Creation copium.
Hell yeah. Is perfect? Yeah, never. Nothing is perfect.
Has been receiving a lot of hate, far more than the usual 3 threads a day, but that's expected considering they just took a giant dump on all the Zoomers' desperate need to sate their action combat ADHD. But it's important to remember, Ashes of Creation isn't trying to be the next World of Warcraft. It isn't trying to be the next big thing. Steven has said this multiple times, and even the player base who...
He has no goal of being the next big thing because he doesn't think this game will appeal to everyone, because this game, he wants it to appeal to him. This is the game that he wants to play. This is how he views MMORPGs. Not everyone's going to view MMORPGs like he does. He wants a lot of probably very slow leveling, a lot of exploration, a lot of side quest story, character development, some RP probably. Like, he wants a world to discover, right? World of Warcraft is not a world to discover anymore. Not since basically maybe TBC, maybe Wrath, though I would say probably mostly vanilla. It hasn't been a world to discover. Final Fantasy is also not a world to discover. It's a great story, don't get me wrong, but as far as the world is concerned, you're not really discovering much, right? So I don't know if Guild Wars 2 is a world to discover, though. So I can't speak about that. I haven't played it in that sense enough. But yeah, that's kind of what Steven wants. So yeah, obviously it's not going to be the next MMORPG. It's not supposed to be a mass appeal to most people. I think he hopes for maybe like 200,000 people on one server. Probably even less. I think that would be way too many people per server. I don't know how many servers he plans on, but I think he wants at least one. The thing is with him, I don't think he would want to have multiple servers per region. I think he would only want to have one server per region, because I feel like he wants to play with all of these people. He doesn't want to have like, well, I'm playing here and they're playing there. Like, I don't think he would want that. I think he wants everyone to play together. But I don't know about that point 100%. I would love it for everyone to just play together and it'd be slightly cramped, because we all know there are going to be high and lows for a game, and it's like, if it's slightly cramped, on the lows it's going to be not very cramped, but you'll always see people around the world. Having a max of like 10-20,000 people in a world as big as this, I don't know, it would probably feel as empty as World of Warcraft does. World of Warcraft servers have, some of them 20,000 people divided by 2 factions, say 10,000. Some have though 18,000, like Horde, 2,000 Alliance, and it still feels empty as fuck, right? So
desperately consume it every single day already know the open world PvP nature of this MMO will not allow it to maintain an audience the size of World of Warcraft. This highly anticipated MMO's ambitions are simple. Just be a good MMO that respects its players without pay to win and antisocial convenience systems. Believe it or not, kids, that's what MMOs used to be, an escapism for people like me who struggle to fit in the real world. The heavy emphasis on social media nowadays and the kids growing up...
I really love the minimap, by the way. Minimap looks really fucking cool. Minimap reminds me of a shooter game, which is kind of funny.
Stuff being the norm does mean the escapism that used to exist...
I wonder, do you see enemies? Wait.
Does mean the escapism that used to exist is no longer a thing.
No, you don't see enemies. It would be cool if you could see the enemies on the map if you're looking in their direction and like you actually see them in front of you. I kind of like that on mini maps where you can actually see an enemy on the map if you see them in person.
So
I don't know why.
all just money bags to our corporate overlords now.
Yeah, usually. Hello, darkness, my old friend.
Intrepid have made a bunch of mistakes during their development process. APOC was an embarrassing move in my opinion. The cosmetics are...
APOC was probably not good as far as publicity goes. I hope it gave them the data that they were looking for. However, I enjoyed APOC for like 3 or 4 days. So, you know. But I'm pretty sure APOC does not represent the game at all. But it was definitely seen as like a bad publicity move as far as the game is concerned. But again, why would he need the publicity if he is the one funding the project? Therefore, he doesn't need the money. Publicity will come when the game is getting closer to launch. So in that regard, I don't think they really lost much outside of like people being haters. That could affect prospect of people joining the team because they're like, well, I heard it's a joke and all that stuff.
Are a heavily debated topic, and the few periods of time where the progress was slow probably took a toll on this game's reputation.
Yeah.
However, the last 10 months have been absolutely phenomenal for the game. The move,
especially UE5, yeah.
Like something Intrepid have been waiting for to really pop off, and they've been pulling no punches to prove to us they are capitalizing on the incredible strides.
The game looks really good, bro. I'm straight gonna say it. The game looks really fucking good. Even though like the grass looks off and like the solid stuff versus like the stuff that is moving, like for example stones look like they're different texture compared to the leaves that are moving and stuff like that. So I think there's definitely some polish over there. But it does feel like a world that's like I wanna go around and explore and like look around and see stuff. Right? It doesn't, it feels like I love that like you can't really see what's going on here, right? With WoW, for example, you can just open the whole fucking vision. And you're like, oh, okay, I see what's there. It's like, oh, whatever. Oh, the enemies are like, I see the 3 enemies like 100 miles away. That's cool, right? And it's like you just don't want to explore. So like having this fog kind of thing does make you want to see what's there. It has like this. I don't know what exactly is this, but this gives me Witcher 3 vibes when you're in the world. Maybe it's also like the background music and stuff, but it's like this gives me like that Witcher 3 vibes where I just want to go and like look at stuff and see maybe like there's interesting monsters over here or something like that.
Unreal Engine 5 offers. So to end today's clickbait drama video,
Yeah.
I actually don't have a question for you guys. So instead, I will leave you with a closing statement. I hate Pantheon. Rise of the...
I'm not gonna react to his Ranger video. For the most part, the Ranger's pretty like straightforward. It's semi-action combat, semi-tap targeting. It auto-aims on action combat. You tap target and tap target. There's not much to it. The abilities are pretty much standard. There's a difference in the weapons, longbow, shortbow. Shortbow hits faster and weaker. Kinda. Longbow hits slower, probably harder, maybe a bit more crit or whatever. More chance of penetration. I don't know, whatever the stats are going to be. The one cool ability, though, I want to say it's 3, where he basically jumps in the air. I can see it being a really problematic ability if it lets you jump on top of hills. So, for example, see like this little mountain here? Let's say it ends about here, where like the about word is. So if this enemy will stand here and you use that ability and you jump over and start shooting down, but you end up on top of that mountain, and this enemy will have to start circling around to get to you, that can be really, really fucking annoying to deal with in PvP. Now, that means that the melee characters need to have like something like a chain to pull people down or something like that. So I don't know how they would deal with it. Or sometimes they might be like, if you jump up, it's not as if you're in the air, you're still on the ground, but the animation is up here. Kind of like how Tristana works in League of Legends, where it's like, even though it looks like she's jumping, she's still technically flat on the ground for any ground abilities. So she would still get stunned by Veigar Cage and shit like that.
fallen. But as usual, I am just...
Nice. I like the video. I love his editing. I hate this part, as always. The underwear stuff, just not my thing. Seeing guys in underwears, it's never my thing. But, yeah. Good for him, man. He's doing really good. Lots of Patreons. I'm happy for his success. And, yeah, that's the video. Peace out.